Hello, Couple Connect community. How are you doing today? I'm very excited to be here as always. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so if you're here live, please type in the comments. Let me know how you're doing and tell me where you're watching from. Okay, it's a beautiful Thursday, another training Thursday, and I'm very excited to be here. I hope you are too. So if you're catching this live, please type in the comments. And if you're also watching the replay, please type hashtag replay so I know you came here. All right. So it's a beautiful training Thursday, another one. Okay, hi, I can see Olubukola, Cecilia. How are you doing today? Great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today. All right, so if you're here and you can see me, and if you can hear me and see me, please type in the comments. Let me know that you can hear me and you can see me. So type loud and clear. So you can see me, you can hear me. Please type in the comments loud and clear. All right. So I'm very excited to be here with you as always. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to be talking about something very interesting, and it's amazing how, these aspects or this subject matter, affects our marriage, all right? And we're going to be breaking it down into pieces today. So today we're talking about how your temperament and your personality is affecting your marriage. How your temperament and personality type is affecting your marriage. If you're here, please type in the comments. Let me know that you can see me and you can hear me. And if you're catching this on a replay, please type in the comments hashtag replay. All right, so how your temperament and personality is affecting your marriage. Okay, so we'll be good to go in the next 30 seconds. All right, so how you doing? How you doing, Olubukola? How you doing today? How is the weather where you are? Please type in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. I think you're in Abuja, yeah? All right. Okay, so how your temperament and personality type is affecting your marriage. So we have different personality types and we also have different temperament types. If you've read this book by Tim LaHaye, I think it's Why You Act the Way You Do. Yeah. I think that's the title. He talks about, these four major personality temperament types, and we have the choleric, we have the sanguine, we have the phlegmatic, and we have the melancholic. All right, so all of these forms, it's based on our wiring. All right, so you did not actually create yourself that way. So it's based on how you're wired, your experience, your past experiences, your background, your upbringing, all amounts to the kind of personality that you are, and the kind of temperament that you have. All right, so the onus just lies with you to ensure that you identify the aspect that is not empowering to you or empowering to your marriage, and then begin to work on them. Identify the strengths, identify the weaknesses, because each temperament type has its strengths and has its weaknesses. So there's none that is actually better than the other. So you may think that somebody who is outgoing, who talks and everything is better than someone who is quiet or reserved. I don't agree. So it's actually, every temperament type has its strengths and weaknesses. All right, and each temperament type is relevant in your marriage. So you just need to identify the aspect that is not working for your marriage and begin to work on those aspects. All right, so we have the introverted personality and the extroverted personality. The introverts are on the reserved side. They are quiet, they like their space. You can just leave them in the house from morning till night and they are good. They're just in their space. They could be reading, or just be thinking, and just be on their own, and they are fine. They get their energy from from inside, from inward, all right? And the extroverted, on the other hand, are outgoing, they like to talk, they like to meet people, they're people persons, all right? And that's where they get their energy from, outside. So you wonder, you're with your partner, and your partner just wants to go out, he just wants to go and mingle, go and meet people, and you just probably just like your space and everything. So we're going to be talking about all of that in this live training. Okay. So please identify where you fall, and please also type in the comments, let me know that you can hear me and you're following. Okay, so we have the choleric, like I mentioned earlier, the choleric, the sanguine, the phlegmatic, and the melancholic. All right, so everyone has a combination, a combination of these temperaments, right? So we have, some are sanguines and choleric at the same time, so we call them sang or call sang or sang call. All right, some are melancholic and phlegmatic. All right, so there's a mix, so you have more of one and maybe less of another. All right, so the choleric are, they are extroverts, like I mentioned earlier. The extroverted people like to go out, like to meet people, like to talk. Okay, and so this is also embedded in the choleric temperament. Okay, the choleric temperament is is extroverted, is strong-willed. So when you see one who is choleric, it means that the person is strong-willed, the person is a doer, the person is task oriented, the person is result oriented. Okay, so if you find yourself in these traits that I'm describing, then it means that you are choleric. Okay, so are you strong-willed? Are you a doer? You always want to do. You are result oriented, you want to get results, you want to just do and get results. Are you blunt? All right, are you blunt? That could also be a choleric tendency, a choleric temperament. Like I said earlier, there is no temperament that is better than the other. Okay, because every temperament has its strong sides and its weak sides. Okay, so you need to identify and point out the weak sides of your temperament so that you can begin to work on it. Then the strong sides, you can begin to use that for the benefit of your marriage. You maximize the strengths of your temperament for the benefit of your marriage. Because if you're, for example, if you're a choleric and you're married to a melancholic, now a melancholic is an introvert, right? A melancholic is an introvert. A melancholic overanalyzes and keeps thinking and thinking. Okay, and they're perfectionists. Okay, a melancholic is a perfectionist, is a moody person, gets into moods. So you see what I'm saying, that if a choleric person is married to a melancholic, because that melancholic overanalyzes, the melancholic needs a choleric, because the choleric is task oriented, is a doer, is result oriented. So the choleric will easily spur the melancholic into action. All right, and of course that when you're melancholic and you've analyzed that may not be good in some instances when you need to make decisions at the spur of the moment. You need to make spontaneous decisions. All right, so as a melancholic, you've analyzed, you're a perfectionist, you want things to be perfect, you wait for perfect conditions before you take action, right? You get into moods, at this moment or this minute you're happy, you're smiling, before you know it you're down, you're just in your own space, you get irritated, you don't want to meet anyone, you're just in your own world. All right, a melancholic is also organized, right? A melancholic is detailed, right? A melancholic is also a detailed person. So you need to identify where you fall so that you would know the areas that you need to work on. Like I said, it's your wiring, and so it's based on how you grew up, how you were raised, your upbringing, all the experiences you've had in life, and all of that. All of that, come together to form the kind of temperament that you have. All right. So I've talked about the choleric. I've talked about the melancholic. The melancholic is also a critical person. So you come into a place or you're even in a meeting and they're sharing things, you're already imagining and thinking of something that is not that is not right with what they're doing or what they're saying. Okay, so it's not so all of this is not it's not bad in itself. You just need to know how it is, if it's affecting your marriage positively or negatively, and then see how you can manage it, and see how you can begin to work on the areas that you need to work on. All right. We also have the sanguine. Okay, the sanguine is also an extrovert. The sanguine is an extrovert, wants to go out, mingle. In fact, the sanguine is the life of the party. You can't see, if you go to a place, you must surely identify a sanguine, all right, because you can't miss it, because the sanguine is the life of the party. The sanguine wants to meet people, wants to mingle. The sanguine is people oriented. The sanguine also loves family. The sanguine can be disorganized, all right? So the sanguine can go out now and just, once the person is out and once the person comes back in, the sanguine is just tired, because he has gone to, exert all the energy outside. Okay. So that's the sanguine. So where do you fall? Are you already seeing where you fall? Are you a sanguine? Are you a choleric, or are you melancholic? Or do you have traits of, all of these, right? And we also have the phlegmatic. Okay. So the phlegmatic is introverted. The phlegmatic is reserved. The phlegmatic is a private person. The phlegmatic is, a deep thinker. The phlegmatic also tries to avoid confrontation. So you see why sometimes you may want to resolve conflict or issues in your marriage, and the phlegmatic, and sometimes I don't know if it's a coincidence, but we have more phlegmatic guys than phlegmatic ladies. All right. So the phlegmatic, avoids confrontation. That's why when you say, maybe you can say to your husband, we need to talk, and your husband is already, putting up a defense and just tries to avoid that discussion as much as possible. All right. So the phlegmatic also, spends the phlegmatic also isolates, all right, isolates in the house, because he or she is just a reserved person. The phlegmatic person is also logical, all right. The phlegmatic is logical. Like I said earlier, the phlegmatic is, a deep thinker, is a private person, all right. The phlegmatic is an introvert. Okay. So if you are any of these, you need to, draw a table in a sheet of paper or in your book. Write out your strengths, write out your weaknesses. And if you can get the book by Tim LaHaye, Why You Act the Way You Do, I think he also has another book, Spirit Control Temperament, right? So you can begin to learn how to work on the weak sides of your temperament. So the fact that you're quiet, or the fact that you're a loud person, does not make you better than one who is quiet. All right. So because there are times that you need that quiet, you need that quiet environment, or that quiet nature in your marriage. There are times that you need the outgoing nature, the loud person in the marriage. All right. Because if we have two melancholics, for example, in a marriage, two melancholics, right, then you never take decisions. You would not be able to take decisions, because you both keep over analyzing and waiting for the perfect condition. So if you know that you are melancholic, for example, and maybe your partner is choleric, right, then you should appreciate the choleric tendency. All right. Because you know that you are one who doesn't is not hasty in decision making. All right, you just want to take your time, and sometimes that could be advantageous, or that could be at a disadvantage to your marriage. So if the choleric person, comes in and spurs you up and gingers you, you should appreciate that, and see how you can leverage on the strength of the choleric. All right, so you cannot just say this is who I am, this is how I am, and then you don't need to there's no need to change, or there's no need to improve on some aspects. All right, so you should be able to, like I said earlier, identify where you need to work on. All right, identify where you need to work on and begin to work on it. For example, a woman who is a choleric can be easily misunderstood, for example, because you're strong-willed. And so if you're strong-willed, when maybe your husband is not choleric, is trying to say something, and you maintain your ground because you are a strong-willed person. All right, your spouse can mistakenly take that for being disrespectful. So that's why it's important that you understand yourself, understand your temperament. Your spouse too should understand his or her temperament, and then see the strengths, see the weaknesses, and see how you can both come to a meeting point. So that your marriage will not be disastrous. All right. So a choleric person, like I said, is a result-oriented person. The person wants results. So if you're married to one who is not a result-oriented person, so you may need to also be patient. All right, so you see that all of these temperaments, like I said, there's no good or bad, right? It's just about working on the areas that you need to work on, so that your marriage can be harmonious, your marriage can be beautiful. Okay, so a choleric is also blunt, says things the way it is, no sugar coating or all of that. That's a choleric for you. Okay, so sometimes as a choleric, if you're not married to a choleric, in fact, if two cholerics get married, then you can imagine how that house would be, because they'll both be the bosses, they'll both want to talk at the same time, they are both strong-willed, no one will come down for the other, because marriage is all about compromise, sacrifice, and all of that. So you see why this is just our wiring, and it is based on how we were raised, based on our upbringing, our experiences, our background, and all of that. So it takes being intentional, and that's why this group is for intentional husbands and wives. All right, so it takes being intentional to be able to begin to identify the areas that are not working for your marriage. Okay, so you're not in that marriage to change your partner. So you need to take note of that as well. You're not in that marriage to change your partner. However, you can influence your partner. However, you can begin to work on, become the change that you want to see. All right. So where do you fall in all of these temperaments? Where do you fall? And of course, if you have a personality, I think there's one they even call ambivert now. Like that's you're neither introverts, you're neither an introvert or an extrovert. You're just in between. Okay, so there are some times that you need to be introverted. If you're like, for example, I don't even think I'm an extrovert, right? But there are some times that the work I do requires that I am an extrovert. So I try to come out there and show up and all of that. Okay, so it's all about adjusting. It's all about adaptation. So we are married. The work that you keep doing, forever in marriage is to adapt. You will keep adapting and adapting, because like I said, the more you try to change your partner, the more frustrated you will become, because who your partner has been or who your partner is for over 25 years of his or her life cannot just be changed in one day, cannot be changed in 1 month or 1 year. All right, it can't even be changed in 2 years. So it's a process. It's a process. And when you begin to understand that you yourself, you're not perfect, you yourself have weaknesses, you begin to, give more rope. You'll be able to accommodate your partner even better. All right. So this is how your temperament can be affecting your marriage. If you're a sanguine, for example, when you go out there, make all the noise, get the energy outside, and then you now come home, right? And when you're home, this is the time that you need to spend time with your partner. This is now time that you need to, but that is when you need peace. That is when you need your privacy. Okay, so you see how you need to learn to balance, these things so that your marriage can be, so that your marriage can work. Okay, so if you're phlegmatic, also you need to understand that sometimes you need to just come out. Sometimes life is not all about thinking and thinking and thinking. You need to act. Okay, you need to act. All right. So if you're one who avoids confrontation, if you're one who, sometimes you need to be logical in marriage, sometimes you also need to be emotional. Okay, so this is why all of these can work for the benefit of your marriage. Okay, so so that's what I have for you today. It's it's an extensive lesson on temperament, personality, and all of that. But I've tried to just, break it down in a way that I believe that it will be beneficial to you. So if you also want to learn more about personality and temperament, you can get the book by Tim LaHaye, and you'll be able to, explore and see how, your temperament would maybe affecting your relationship or maybe affecting your marriage. All right, so all you need to know, if there's anything you will take home, is that you need to adapt. Marriage is all about adaptation. Your partner may not necessarily change. Okay, and of course, if you're about to wed, these are the things that you need to put into consideration before you get married. I, for one, I think I am choleric. I have choleric tendencies and I have melancholic tendencies. Okay, in fact, my melancholic tendency has drastically reduced. Like, I used to be I overanalyze before I take action. I used to overanalyze, right? But now it's not even as bad, right? Now I am more, I'm more spontaneous. Okay, I used to overanalyze. I used to get into moods. Okay, but now it's because I started working on it intentionally. And of course, if you're getting into moods, it will be affecting your partner and it will affect your marriage. Okay, and so so that's what it is for today. If you have any question, I'll be happy to have your questions, and please ensure that I would send, maybe I would post something on this temperament again so that it can stick better. You can see it in pictures or in a graphical format. Okay, so yeah, that's it for today. I hope you got value. Thank you so much for being here once again. And of course, if you're catching this on a replay, please type replay and let's know that you got something from this live training today. Okay, so till I come your way next time, thank you so much, Olubukola. Thank you so much for being here. I think I saw someone else. So thank you. I really appreciate your participation. And if you have any contribution, you can also drop in the comments. In fact, I'd love to know the kind of temperament that you are. Olubukola, can you tell me what's your temperament type, and how have you been working on the aspects that are that is not working for your marriage? Okay, so what's your temperament type? Because in marriage is not marriage in itself that brings issues in marriage. Is people make up marriage, right? There's no, every individual make up marriage. So marriage is not one hysteric, or it's not some form of mystery. Okay, because we have different personalities, and we bring these personalities into our marriage. So what personality are you bringing into your marriage? What temperament are you and your partner bringing into marriage, and how is it affecting your marriage? And what areas have you been working on so that your marriage can continue to work, and so that they can have a happy and intimate marriage? Okay, so keep being intentional, keep being intentional, because marriage is all about being intentional. If you're not intentional, marriage will not work itself. You have to work it out to get your results. Okay, so till I come your way next time, keep loving, keep learning, and keep growing. Bye for now.